So I just wanted to say that when we're sketching on tour, it doesn't have to be about the big picture, the big vista, all those, big scenes where you don't know where to start, when to stop. But it can also be just about sitting in a cafe or at the end of the day in a nice little wine bar somewhere and simply sketching what is in front of you. And in this case, I'm looking at a lovely bottle of limoncello, which I'm sure, almost absolutely certain, that we will have some of this on our tour. And it's just a matter of getting the shapes in. I'll do this in pencil first. And even though we can't see the back of that bottle, if we just do some ovals, we can get our perspective in of the bottle and the shape and getting it correct. So it doesn't have to be totally correct. It can be quite wonky and sketchily, and I actually don't mind that either. Okay, so just very loosely sketching up. There's a nice glass here. So you notice I'm sketching the subject first. The subjects are what closer to me. So we've got the bottle and the glass. In that glass we have filled up a little way, not all the way. We've got a couple of lemons here. Let's say we've got 3 lemons. Another one down here. Then, if you want to, you can leave it at that, or you can start sketching in the background. So this could be the table here. So I'm looking at the angles. Nice rustic table. I might leave that other lemon out of the picture, or I could leave that one out of the picture and put one over here. Whatever looks best is fine, and it doesn't have to be exactly what's there, but whatever looks good to your eye. I intend to sketch in odd numbers rather than, so if there's here, you'll see there's 4 lemons, I would prefer 3 or 5. So that's just a preference of mine. Visually, it just seems to make more sense. So in the background here we have the lovely, looks like the Amalfi Coast. And some buildings loosely in the background, so they're blurred and not, I don't have to put in every single building and window to get that effect. Okay, so I would then go in with a pen. This is a black pen, fine line, and I would start to re-sketch that. And this is a chance for me to redefine shapes if I'm not happy with those shapes. Okay. Of course, you don't have to use the pen at all. If you prefer not to use a pen, you don't have to. You can go straight into the painting. Top curves. So it's at this point that I can redefine anything that I'm not totally happy with. We have that nice oval label. Over here we've got our lemon. I might just change the shape a little. We have some buildings in the background. We've also got this lovely lemon tree. It looks like a lemon tree in the background, which I can just put in with some leaves and maybe a hint of lemon colour to make it look like a lemon tree in the background. We can just start to put in shapes for the buildings. They're all flat roofed, so that makes it really easy. And I'm just going around the tops of the buildings that I can see and just putting in those shapes. Coming down. Better put that glass in before we forget. Going too much further. Now, quite often when I'm sketching at a cafe, I might have my sunglasses sitting on the table. They quite often end up in the sketch as well. So I'm just sketching what's in front of me. If we're happy with that, let's put this lemon in over here. This one we can make that overlap a little bit more, connecting those two shapes. So I'm not taking a great deal of notice to my first sketch. This is part of just defining what's there. Okay, so we've got a nice little fancy label on this bottle, which we'll make the most of. So it's limoncello. Liqueur. And this tiny writing, I tend to just do a little bit of a scribble. Okay, so we've got some lovely shadows under there, so let's get into the paint. I'll look for my water brush. Squeezing it out if it's not totally clean. Okay, so we've got some lovely, lovely lemon colours. Let's just pop those in straight away. So what I usually do is I have a little squirty brush. And watercolour's activated by water, of course, so you just need to activate that if it's dried. Okay, we've got, so in these palettes, you'll notice we've got 2 shades of each colour. So we've got 2 shades of yellow, two reds, 2 blues, 2 greens, and 2 or 3 browns. This is to give you some choices with your mixing. So I can see in that photograph that the yellow is quite different to the lightest yellow. So we'll come in with a bit of a cadmium yellow, which is the second one. And you can see it's more the true colour of a lemon. So there's the lightest yellow there. Just pop in a little bit of that cadmium yellow for a bit of shading. And there's a label here which I've forgotten to put in. That's okay, we can do that later. And here. Just weaken that out. Some more water. So I'll start with the lightest yellow first, which is a lemon yellow, but it's not the true lemon colour. And then I'll dip into some of the deeper cadmium yellow. And it just gives it a little bit of dimension. It's a much truer colour to what I can see. Now, while that's still wet, there's a little bit of shading in there. While that's still wet, I want to put a bit of shading into those lemons. So by dipping into some of the blue, which is a French ultramarine blue, I'll just put a little bit of shading in. Yeah. Now the shading grounds it down. It's what we call grounding, so it looks like it's sitting down on the table. If you don't have that, everything looks like it's floating. Let's go down here. And all of a sudden, by putting in these shade colours, it's starting to take shape and form. Let's go with some yellow ochre. So it's another yellow, but it's a good colour for buildings and tables, things of this nature. We'll start with a wash of that, and then I'll come in with another brown. You don't have to totally cover every section of the table. You can leave some whites of the paper coming through. Okay, so let's go to a raw umber or a burnt, no, it's a raw umber over here. And I'll just do a little bit more work. Now again into the blue for my shade colour. It's a French ultramarine blue. And I'll just bring a bit of shade through. Bit of shade under this one. You can see this is called working wet in wet, so I'm not totally waiting for this to totally dry. So I'm just letting the colours blend in for a soft look. Under this bottle, there's some shade coming across there, and there's some shade here. Okay. So you can lift out. You want something to be a bit lighter. You want the white of the paper to show through. You just squeeze the water out, dry it, and just lift out. There we go. So now I've kind of achieved that bit of a frosty look in the bottle and in the glass. Okay, so let's go to some of the sky. Okay, this is quite not as bright a sky as the previous little demo that I did. It's a little bit paler. It's probably late afternoon, I would say. And let's just put some of that colour. It's the French Ultra I'm going with here. I just need to fill up my brush again. I think there's plenty of places in Italy to fill up any water containers or brushes along the way. There's lots of little fountains, water fountains that you can do that. Just use it to your advantage. So I'm going to use a little bit of Viridian here because there's a little bit of that green just in the shallows. And that's looking rather nice. Okay. I need to duck away and fill that brush up, but while I'm sitting here, I'll just use what I've got. So in the background, have some hills, and because they are in the distance, I'm just going to put a bit of that French Ultra Blue into our green. So this is our sap green, which is just an all-round mid-tone, but you can change that tone for distance with a little bit of your French Ultra Blue. It's just softening that back a little bit. And as that comes forward, the blues are getting a little, the greens are getting a little bit brighter. So you've got a bit of land up the top before you get to the houses. And then we've got some colours in those houses, some yellows, a bit of yellow ochre. You can see the difference in the yellows between these two and this one. So remember I said this is a really good colour, this yellow ochre, for doing some of the buildings. And we will probably use quite a bit of that. So it's just suggestions of buildings. There's some grayer tones, so a little bit of French ultramarine just watered down. Give some of those other buildings. And just what I would do in between those would be, you don't, as I said, you don't have to fill everything in. It's nice to come around this bottle with a bit of colour so it will stand out. Right, so we've got this, looks like a tree, it's a lemon tree. Now, if we mix some of this lemon yellow with that green that we've got in our palette, we can get a much brighter green. We can just put in some of these little bright leaves here. Keep them loose, they're in the distance. Okay. This is something I rather like when you've got a lot of water and it just makes its own little patterns. That's a lovely thing with watercolour, a nice thing that happens. It's just... Okay, so now I'm trying to get some dark colours with the blue and the raw umber. And you'll see there's lots of little windows. They tend to be in blocks of shape. As soon as you put those in, they start to look like what they're meant to be, buildings. It's an impression of buildings. Okay. And then you can use that for a little bit of shading in between. And of course, we're always just trying to give the impression of what's here. Sometimes you need a shadow that's a little bit stronger. A bit of lifting out. Okay, so a bit of shade through here. We've got the top of that bottle. I'm just looking for any opportunity to make it look, just to make it look more realistic, and just an impression of what could be a very nice afternoon, late afternoon. Okay, so I'll just leave it at that and see how it looks when it dries off. It's rather a cute little scene. Hope you've enjoyed that, and you can see that it's quite simple to do. There's nothing perfect about it at all, but it could be a memory of a nice afternoon on the Amalfi Coast. Bye.